Welcome to Communication Skills for Everyone. Friends, if you are watching this channel, please subscribe. So in this video, let us learn what are the characteristics of language. Before moving to characteristics of language, first we should know what is language, right? What is language? So yeah, we know that language is derived from the Latin word lingua, right? Lingua. What does it mean? Lingua means produced with the tongue. Produced with the tongue. So language means anything produced with the tongue, right, which is called a language. So there are different definitions given by different people, but we are not going to talk about. But let us look at what exactly this definition by popular person Edward Safir. Language is primarily human and non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, emotions, desires by means of a system of voluntarily produced symbols. So this is the definition given by Edward. Now, so language is an inseparable part of human society, as we know. Human civilization has been possible only through language, right? This is given by Neem. Uh, so language is basically human. All we know that, right? It is different from animal communication. That's what it is. Human. It is not at all. Not anyway. It is not related to animal communication. That's what. Let us look at some of the characteristics of language. First one, language is learned. Language is learned because it is not born activity. Okay, it is not innate like crying and walking. It comes naturally. But language should be learned. It is not an automatic process. It has to be learned. Any learner learns the language by imitation and practice. That's why language is learned. It is not innate. Second, language is a acquired behavior. So any language, it is acquired behavior. For example, if you take a boy or man is shifted to another community or cultural group, what happens? He will acquire the language spoken by that particular group or cultural community. Right, the same thing. For example, if we put a child who born in Indian family, we put in USA, then what happens? The children learn that particular language, maybe English language with an American accent. If they are in America, if they are in Britain, they learn with Britain accent because it is acquired behavior. So it can be acquired behavior. There is a one. Next, language is a system, right? Language is a system like a human body. We look at, right, just like body functions through different organs, like when we look at like brain, heart, lungs, right? We have different digestive system and all this. In the same way, language function through sounds, words, structures, right? It has certain things. So that's what language is, a system. Language is a system. The next one, language is vocal. The language is primarily observed speech, or spoken. That's what it is. Vocal. Speech is a fundamental thing. Speech is a fundamental thing in language learning. It may be reading and writing, right? It may be reading and writing. This may be considered as secondary. Fundamental thing is speech, spoken language. Through speech and modulation of speech, we get a clear picture of English inflection. So that's what language is vocal. Next, language is ever changing. There is no language on the earth is static. Means it is static means stationary, no change. But here every language is undergoing changes, maybe in its grammar, vocabulary, structure, phonology, right? Phonology in the due course, right? For example, if you look at certain words are obsolete, they are no more used in the language. There are some words which are used, maybe new words, which new words are coined into the language. So that's what language is, ever changing. It is dynamic, not static. Static is stationary, but language is Dynamic. Dynamic means it is changing. It changes. It changes often. That's what it is. Dynamic. Next one, languages for communication. Right? The main purpose of any language is to communicate. So a person's speech must be intelligible to others. Intelligible means understand, comprehend. Comprehension is important, right? For this, so it must acquire the right pronunciation and intonation. You have to follow suprasegmental features. What are the suprasegmental features? Stress and intonation. So that's what your language is for communication. One should use it for communication. That's what language is for communication. Next one, language is arbitrary. So here when we say language is arbitrary, there is no relationship between the words of a language and its meaning. Okay, no relation between words of a language and its meaning. So here the relationship between word and meaning is arbitrary. There is no reason why a language is called language in English, right? Bhasha, for example, in Hindi, even Bhasha in Hindi, right? Similarly, in Telugu we say Bhasha, same, right? That so similarly, this is the one. Next one, languages based on cultural experiences. Languages based on cultural experiences. This is every language is the product of a particular society and culture. For example, if we take in AP in Telangana, it's maybe the Telugu, and if you go to other states, so that language similarly, right? So maybe there are certain set of words which are used in certain culture, certain society. So that how called in each language there are words that show the specific culture of that community, right? Maybe if you look at in Telugu we say namaskaramu. If you look at in Hindi, the people say salam alaikum, or maybe some in English good morning, Hindi namaste, something like that. These are different. It shows a kind of culture, cultural experience. That's what language is based on, cultural experience. Next one, language is made up of habits. Language is made up of habits. So here a person can be said to have learned a language when he can speak it without any conscious efforts. So without any conscious efforts, no language can be learned without sufficient practice. So that's what you have to practice a lot. If you practice a lot, then you can form a kind of habits, right? A language is learned by use and not by rules. If you know the rules, no use, but if you use, then you master it. Learning a language is a process of habit formation. That's what it is important. Learning language is a process of habit formation. So we have to practice. If we practice more, we will become perfect, or maybe we master that language. So next one, language is unique. So this each language is unique. So no two languages are similar, alike. They cannot have the same set of patterns of structures, sounds, grammatical rules, or vocabulary. It goes on, right? The sounds, structures, words of every language have their own speciality in all the way. Whichever way you see, every language is unique. It has a speciality. That's what it is. Language is unique. So these are some of the these are the characteristics of a language. So if we look at the last Gurukula or Gurukula examination, there was one or two questions repeated from this characteristics of language. So this is about characteristics of language. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Communication skills for everyone, for more academic and educational videos.